This is a video by Richmond. Today we're working on a Saturn S series. This happens to be a 1998 model. And we have a check engine light on. So we're going to do a scan, see what we find. We have one trouble code, and it's a P0717. The turbine input shaft speed sensor is not registering to the computer. So we're going to find out what that problem is today. This is the turbine speed sensor, which is located below the transmission filter, which is below the air box. Now the easiest way to access that is to jack up the vehicle and get underneath and remove the cover underneath the radiator. Now the first thing we're going to do is remove that connection, electrical connection, and see what it looks like, if it's dirty. If it looks okay, the next thing we're going to do is probe the electrical connection and see if we're getting voltage from the computer down to the sensor. Now if after pulling the connector off it looks dirty, now that could be a problem. And what you could do is take some contact cleaner and of course hold that down with your other hand, which I can't do, and spray in the end of the sensor. Clean all that, dry it down, take the PCM fuse out to clear the code, take it for a ride, and see if that cures the problem. Now what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to check the voltage and the resistance of the sensor next. Now we've got a multimeter set up here on DC voltage, and we have the negative clip on the meter to ground, and we're going to probe the connector from the sensor right here. We have the key on, and we want to see some reading on the meter, and that will tell us that we're connected to the computer. We'll try the blue and white wire here. We're seeing very little, but we're seeing something. I believe that is the low input wire, and the red wire is the high input wire. So we should see a little higher voltage on the high input wire, and we do. So that looks good. So now let's check the resistance of the sensor. The next thing we're going to do is check the resistance of the sensor. Now it's in a very tight place up there, so it's very difficult to get your probes from your multimeter up there. So what you need is a connector, an old connector. This one right here I've taken off of a crankshaft position sensor, but it's the same connection as that one right there with a bunch of wire on it. So we'll take it and put it right in there like that, and now we can take our multimeter, go down here to the 2000 ohm scale, and we want to take one lead, put that on one wire, and now when we put it on the other one, what we're looking for is a reading in the range of 800 to 1600 ohms. Oh boy, I can see this one is out of spec. We got 773 ohms. So it looks like that sensor is the problem. So we'll just replace that. Now to remove the sensor, you'll need a 24mm open-end wrench. It shouldn't be in there too hard because it's a plastic shredded sensor. And once you get it to a certain point, you should be able to just remove it by hand. She's just about out now, so I can take it out the rest of the way by hand. There we go. After you get your new sensor all hooked up, come over to the fuse box here next to the battery, remove the cover, and then underneath the cover here, the diagram, look for the PCM fuse. And we're going to remove it to clear the memory or the check engine light from the computer. Now, we'll replace it. And now we're all done. Now take the car for a ride, and hopefully the check engine light will be gone. And that's all there is to troubleshooting a P0717 trouble code on your Saturn S series.